It's if you look at like my mother.
The light's on.
Yeah.
All right, we are now being recorded, so I would like to announce that we are resuming our public session. Do I have any motions?
Madam Chairman, I would move that we seal the minutes to the non-public meeting until such time as majority of the board feels it is wise and prudent to unseal them.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All- Unanimous? All right, I'd like to call the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Divided up the other items.
All right, so,
You need to announce that Bob and Larry aren't here.
oh, we need to announce what?
You need to announce that the other two aren't here.
Oh, yeah, I'd just like to make a note that our chairman, Bob Donovan, and Larry Foote, another selectman, are not here for this evening. What's the word, excused for the evening? All right, so do I have a motion for approval of the minutes?
The approval of the public and non-public minutes dated July 17th, 2018.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. I'll move the approval of the public and non-public minutes dated July 30th, 2018.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have my pen back?
You may. All right, moving on to scheduled business. The first one, item A, Marcoux Road, request to pave non-accepted town road. Anyone want to speak to this?
This is an extension off of Marcoux Road that is not a town road, and we had a non-resident request that it be paved. And it doesn't conform to a way a road should be, I guess, to pave it.
All right, so we have a letter going out to the property owners who made the request stating that it will not be done by town money because it's not a town road, correct?
Correct. And that, so you just need to authorize to sign that, if you wish to.
Move to sign the letter in response to the resident request.
Do we have a copy of this letter?
It's on the shared.
Yep,
Yeah,
it's
it's
on
on
the
the
share.
share.
What's it called on the shade?
It's LTR Camellia.
Okay. Let me just take a peek at this. It's loading.
If you want, I'll read the letter of response.
Sure.
Okay. To Ms. Frieder and Mr. Levin, the Board of Selectmen is in receipt of your letter dated July 27th, 2018, concerning the dirt road extension of Marcoux Grove. The Board of Selectmen has consulted with road agent Mike Privero, who informed that the section of the road you are requesting to be paved is not a town-accepted road. Therefore, taxpayers' money cannot be used to repair or pave that road extension. The Selectmen's meeting minutes will be available after September 5th, 2018 on the town website, and it lists the town's website, and it says the Board of Selectmen consider this matter closed. Respectfully, we the undersigned.
I would move to sign this letter.
Second.
We didn't have the motion already, right?
All right, all in favor?
Aye. The only thing I would add, and this isn't to the letter, I would add this to the minutes, to the residents, is I would say, if I were in their shoes, what I might do is wait for town meeting in March and create a petition to have a warrant article to create a budget item to have this paved. That might be their solution at
I
this
think it
point.
would need to be declared a town road first, because town money can't be used to pave a non-town road.
Well, that could be part of the warrant
It's
article.
not up
Yeah.
to specs, though. I think
Yeah.
that's what Mike is saying. It's not up to road specs.
But it's, like I said, we don't have to add it to this letter or anything. I would just say, if people are that serious about this, you know,
And
there's another option to
the town finds
pursue.
value in pursuing it.
Exactly. So,
All right, so on to item B, new fire rescue station project updates. If we can have our construction manager come up.
Good evening, Board. I'll give you an update of the Newton Fire Station as of today. The concrete floor was poured a month ago, so we've hit that magic time where in the next week or so, it'll be up to design strength and loads can be put on it. Next week, we have scheduled to seal the floor. The biggest remaining item there, now that the septic system has been approved, which was last week, we need to pave the paved areas, designated paved areas up there. It was scheduled for the 17th. Weather had moved it to the 27th, and I've got a phone call this morning saying that now the new date is the 29th. Not uncommon. We are at the mercy of the paving companies, and it's a busy time of the year, so we just have to stay on them, which I'm doing, and get that thing paved. Once it's paved and the binder's down, I have a few other items to complete there that we're putting off because it just doesn't make sense to do them prior. We gotta do a final cleaning of the station. I have to strip and wax the floors, and some landscaping, seeding, work our way out the driveway. The temporary electric service that feeds a small building will come down so I can finish the entrance. And that's pretty much it. So I would say within the next few weeks, I can't nail it down an exact date because of the paving schedule, but I would say in the next few weeks, the station should be turned over to the Board of Selectmen.
That's good news.
Yeah.
question for you, because I haven't seen the plan in a while. As far as the paving goes, are you paving like essentially all of 8 Merrimack Road? So that area in front of the police department, like does that get paved when you do it, or is that
I wish I
outside
had a
the
plan
scope?
to show you, but I'll
Yeah.
try to articulate it verbally. We reshaped the entrance of the driveway last year, cut down the hill 4.5 feet, and put binder down in that area. So as you drive in, as you're driving towards the fire station, that pavement that was new last year, which is binder, that'll all get a top wearing surface. In front of the station and to the right of it, which is actually the front door of the station, will get paved. That pavement will end at the back of the station and at the side of the station. Everything around the back is not scheduled to be paved. Never was.
Right.
For different reasons, which we don't need to get into now. Some of them are environmental reasons for the civil engineers. So that's a pervious surface for drainage, and it makes it problematic if it all gets paved.
So
And cost.
for instance, where, is it Quintel and Associates, is that the name of the company?
Yeah.
So where they park, we're not touching,
No, but we need to, on a separate item still regarding this station, the board and myself will need to meet up there with funds that right now, and I was gonna lead into this, so it just moves it ahead from what I was gonna say. Right now, looking at where we are on costs, I'm projecting, and this is a little loose, because I still got some vendors, there's still some touch-ups, there's still some punch list items. I think we're gonna have $150,000 remaining with the station built. I know that's a shock to a lot of people, because they said we were over budget. Wow, how did that happen? So we have funds remaining that we'll need to discuss. Because the PD, and I don't want to segue onto this, but the PD is part of the total site plan that was developed and submitted to the state. So their parking area and their stuff, I know there's a group that says, well, that was just for the fire department, that budget. Okay, I'll give you that, but the effects of putting the fire station in did affect the police department in their parking area. So it does have to be looked at as a total project. So we'll need to address that and look at the funds that are remaining and talk about what we should and can still do to complete that.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that, and also we have to discuss this as a board with the chiefs too. There has to be kind of a rules of the road over there, so to
Absolutely.
speak, because all of a sudden, the places where the police officers would park their personal vehicles doesn't exist anymore.
Correct.
Because that's an egress, right, for
Yep.
the fire department. So
Yeah,
stuff
but with
like
some
that.
of the new paved areas,
Yeah.
and I've talked to both chiefs,
Yeah.
and some of the, where we're gonna have new paved areas, we've eliminated a lot of the islands because they're just problematic for the winter. You know, you put these islands in, they look great, we have foliage, we have trees, and then paving is, snow plowing is twice the cost it should be of just normal push the snow out of the way. So the delineation will be line striping. And there'll be line striping and, kind of keep everybody in designated areas. Should work fine. Little bit of retooling in the thought process, but it should work out fine.
Sounds good.
All right, any other questions? Thank you, Mike.
Oh,
Oh, do you have more?
I do.
Okay, go
I
for
do.
it.
Regarding the fire station, I wanted tonight to clear up some allegations of improper conduct that have been put out there by a selectman. The selectman is not present tonight. So I'm going to request the board that we reschedule this to the next selectmen's meeting in public to discuss these allegations of scandalous behavior.
We will make sure that it makes it on to the September 4th.
Okay.
Agenda
And
for public.
I am requesting adamantly that this is done in public on TV. Okay?
Well, barring any unforeseen disasters, that is what will happen.
So I would just add two things, just so I get it on record. I have already told the board I will not be present for that meeting, but I've given them like a month's notice or whatever it is, so just on the record, as I sit here, that's why you won't see me. The second part of that, I would say, is you've requested that to be in public, which is your right to request that. The board always votes. Usually it's 5-0 in favor. We vote whether to go into non-public or not. So that would,
Actually,
This we
you
can't,
don't have that option here.
not necessarily. So the point I'm making, and I'm not going to argue this here right now, but the point I'm making is if somebody moves from this board to go into non-public and they have a reason to do so, in 3 out of the 5, or in that case, it would be 3 out of the 4.
3 out of 4.
Moves to go into non-public, that's how we would go into non-public. So I just,
Yeah, but it
I-
would
But
have to
can
be,
I, for my own knowledge, clarifying what
Yeah.
was just said, that's for you guys to discuss it after the case is presented, not during the presentation of facts.
it actually
Unless-
depends on whether or not something comes up that qualifies under non-public. That's when we would make the call to go into non-public.
Okay.
have-
I beg to differ on that one, because
I have a
I'm
vague
one of
understanding
the...
of what is going on, and quite honestly, since the only person who is not an elected official in this aspect is requesting that it be in open session. The Board of Selectmen cannot go into non-public at their whim.
Something may be said that would be covered under non-public, which is why I said we can't say we won't,
Yes,
because
it's the only point I'm
you're not
making.
thinking that there's anything, but if something does come up that falls under non-public, let's say a third party's name gets thrown out there that isn't a public official,
Okay.
and it would go to the reputation of that third party, that would fall under non-public. Do you see where I'm going with that?
So somebody on this board could, and underline the word could, they could jump in and say, I'm not comfortable with this, I move to go into non-public. They could get voted down, and we just keep moving on. But that stuff's happened. It's actually happened quite the opposite has happened with this board a lot. When we've been downstairs in non-public, something comes up and we say, hey, whoa, that's for public. We got to talk about this later. So I just wanted to just have clarity about, we don't decide to do things in non-public like 2 weeks before. There's a vote that's taken and we have to vote in public to go into non-public. If
Okay.
that,
I think I know where you're going with
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I will keep a positive and optimistic, open mind that all of this will be public,
Okay.
and all transparent, and
As long as it is
for all the viewers to make their own decision.
All right, then we will see you again on the 4th.
Certainly will.
All right, is there anything else you have for us?
That would conclude my business for this evening.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
thanks. And by the way, just because I forgot to mention it there, I appreciate, as a member of the board and a taxpayer, I appreciate the fact that, no guarantee, but $150,000 saved on the budget is a big thing to me as a taxpayer, and I appreciate, I think we agreed when we hired this contractor months ago that we're hiring somebody who had our best interests at heart as far as saving the town money, and I think you just illustrated that we picked the right person because this money is coming back. We'll do the best for the town and how we spend that, but I appreciate the fact, I
And
know
I
it's
do
not,
appreciate you saying that.
And that's
not a
even
guarantee, I
on-
understand.
No.
It's even on top of the
Yeah.
fact that we were expecting some grant money that fell through.
Oh,
and
we absorbed north of $100,000 of work done that was supposed to be grant money.
Exactly, and still came in $150,000 under budget. That's where I'm,
Let's stop banning the 150,000 until.
Yeah.
Until the
it's where we
contract
are
comes back
right
and
now.
says,
I'm just planting a seed. That's not definite, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to give you a little
Yeah.
Yeah.
insight that what should take place.
I
in that.
just don't want the next person I see at the post office to go, oh, and are you going to be giving us back the 150,000? I'm going, I don't know that it is 150,000.
until it's all signed off,
Yeah.
we don't know
And
what
that's all
other
a conversation
expenses.
for another selectmen's
Yeah.
meeting, how that all shakes out.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so that was item B. Item C, request from fire department.
Yes, I'm the fire chief this evening.
Ziggy's not standing in fan?
Oh. I'm sorry, Mr. Zelinski, are you here to discuss the MDA?
You just hanging out?
Well,
Okay.
there's a request from the fire department
let
to
me
solicit
read
monetary
it.
donations for MDA. I just figured it'd be nice coming from one of the fire
Okay, well, I've
department officials.
got the official stuff right
Bob,
here.
Bob, you need to explain what MDA means.
My name's Bob Zelinski. I'm a captain on Newton Fire. Newton Fire would like to, a few days this year, run the muscular dystrophy boot. People have seen it drive around different towns. And we have a couple of firemen out there, and they're usually out there for, say, a 2-hour period doing a collection, and every penny goes to the Muscular Dystrophy Association.
They normally do this at the transfer station.
That transfer station in front of the Newton Junction station and the 108 station.
Yeah.
So
I will move that we authorize the fire department to do their MDA, Muscular Dystrophy Association fundraiser with the Fill-A-Boot.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
The fire department also wants to know whether or not they can be allowed to sell food at the Newton Day.
Only if
Old
it's
Home
good.
Day.
If it's not good,
Fire department always has good food. That's a
right.
tradition.
We did it last year.
Did they
we're
fill
just-
out that vendor form or whatever it
yeah,
is?
so
Actually, they
I,
didn't.
we already kind of have you guys worked into the plan anyway.
Okay.
The only thing we ask, and I think Chief El Cadino is aware of this, we don't want to have competing food, right?
Right, yeah,
So,
he understands
yeah,
that. I
Yeah,
know we talked
so
And the money that's raised on that will go towards
the
the,
association,
no, it will
No.
actually be, it's being earmarked specifically for the,
MDA.
no. Wait a second, let me,
68 hours.
You know what
of
the money's
labor?
being used for?
yes, it's going towards the dryer.
For the,
Oh,
for
the
the
dryer.
washer dryer, the extractor.
For the gear,
Okay.
right?
Extractor,
Yeah.
thank you.
For the gear, right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay. So, do I have a motion?
I move to authorize the fire department to sell food at Newton Day on September 15th.
I would second for discussion.
Okay,
And did we lose Kim?
we
I think
did.
she left.
Got cold.
Maybe you know. So my only concern would be to raise money like that to earmark for a dryer. I don't think we can do that, right?
I don't think we can do that either.
Because we've had this problem before with rec events in that if we raise money at any of these events, it basically goes to the general fund.
Yep.
So in a way, you're raising the money and it's great, but it's not, it's got to go to the general fund. And then, I believe what we did last year is we raised money for N68 hours in the food pantry, and then the selectmen later on were proposed to move money out of the general fund to cut a check to go there, right? That's what we would need to do in this case?
What I know, and I could be wrong, is you're supposed to gross appropriate. So if you think you're going to take in money, you've got to gross appropriate for that money so you can then give it away or do whatever. But if it goes in the general fund, there could be a warrant article next year asking to take that money out to go toward a
In that case,
specific.
can I change my motion and authorize the fire association to sell food? Because the fire association has the ability to raise funds and distribute.
Exactly.
Yes.
So,
I don't think that's going to be agreeable with the chief, just saying.
so I think we need to come back when we have
Yeah.
answers to these
Okay, yes,
questions.
All right.
we
They
do-
can
we do
sell
have a meeting
food, but we'll
prior
figure
to
out the
that.
money.
All right, so the fire department can actually decide whether or not they want to have the fire association raise the funds for that
All
specific
right.
purpose.
And I'll double check with Kim, and we
All
can
right.
check with
So
DRA.
we just want to make sure that the purpose is able to be fulfilled,
All right.
okay?
So are you rescinding your motion?
I'll rescind my motion.
Anything else on the fire? Or?
We look good. Thank you very much.
All right,
Thanks.
good night.
Are you glad you came tonight?
All right, so item D, review Recreation Commission amended bylaws. Matt?
So
What do
this is basically an update. They hadn't been updated in a while. So what we did was we marked it up as a Recreation Commission, then we sent it around town to the departments. We did get some good feedback from, I believe it was the bookkeeper, as well as, I think the Joint Loss Prevention might have had something, and there's somebody else who's escaping me.
Diane and I worked on it, too.
Yeah, so with all the input that we have, we'd like to propose this update be accepted by the Board of Selectmen.
So do I hear a motion?
I would move to, what would the words be?
Accept or
Accept,
Adopt.
adopt?
No, we
Amend.
already have one. It's
Amend.
amended, yeah.
amend the Recreation Commission bylaws
As written?
as written.
I'll second it for discussion.
All right.
My main discussion is I know the planning board has the ability to adopt its own policies and procedures and bylaws. I would assume that the Recreation Commission also, or is that possibly because they're a commission?
I think because they're a commission.
Okay, they're appointed by
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
Okay.
And is that the only thing you have for it?
So, Matt, the date on this says accepted July 16th. Would we change that to
Yeah,
today?
can we do 21st? You can add that to my motion.
Okay.
Effective date July 21st, or I'm sorry, August 21st, 2018.
And then you will also have to, Article 10 will have to be amended to show the procedure for amending, if the board has to adopt.
Yeah, because they can only be amended,
By a vote of the
majority
Board of
vote of the
Selectmen.
Board of Selectmen as opposed to
yeah.
full commission.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Got that, Harvey? Where it says that a vote of the
So
full commission.
I'm guessing
that
that's
should be
a
Board of Selectmen.
friendly amendment to the motion?
Or we can change it.
I accept that
Sure.
friendly amendment.
All right, so we have that friendly amendment, right, to change it from full commission to Board of Selectmen?
Yep.
And to change the date of July 16 to August 21. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? All right, next item up.
Why'd you do Alicia? So she-
Yes, we are doing Alicia next so she can go, so you can go home. All right, and I can speak,
Can you step up to the mic so people can hear you?
It's 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., September 15th.
Hey, Doug, on that recreation thing, should Selectmen sign it or?
Hi, Alicia Galen, and I'm hoping that you will vote to approve me as a Conservation Commission member. I served on the commission as a vice chair for about 6 years in the early 2000s, and then I moved out of town, and I moved back 6 years ago, I can't believe it. Wanted to get back on. Apparently, there's not a full member slot, there's just an alternative member slot, so that's fine. I have a bachelor's degree in environmental science and a master's in environmental policy, and I'm really involved with the Country Pond Lake Association. I'm the voluntary lake assessment program leader, so I'm out there testing water quality on the lake, and just really looking forward to getting back into volunteering in town.
Excellent. I think we
Move-
could use
move
your
to a-
knowledge.
now, I do have a question here. Does the ex officio take up one of the member slots, or is
Yes.
that an additional?
Yes, it's one of the member slots.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was one of, or if it was like an
Yeah.
additional,
No,
because you
if
don't
you were
always have
additional,
the
it
ex
would,
officio.
that's the problem we have with the school budget committee is there are 7 members plus an ex officio from the school board, which means it's an 8-member board,
Right,
which ups all of your quorums and
gotcha.
all that stuff.
And that's why we have Alicia as the alternate.
That's what I assumed it was. But it's been so long since I've been on the commission, I'm assuming like if I was needed to be a quorum, if they didn't have a quorum of full members, then I can,
You'd vote.
You can come in anytime we are less than the full board. So not just when we need a quorum.
yeah,
We're
I
a
would come to
five-member-
all meetings, but I would
Yeah,
I
no,
would
no,
only
I
get to
mean,
vote.
we're a 5-member board. If we only have 3 members show up, plus you can come in
To be a voting
to be a voting member because we are short 2 regular members.
But if all 5 voting members were there, then I would just give my opinion and then.
Exactly.
Well, I was just going to say, please remember that the state law allows for alternates on any land use boards, which the Conservation Committee falls under, to be a full participating member, just not voting on any so
That sounds familiar,
every
yeah.
meeting that you come to, you can give input, just somebody, and full member that is not present, you may be asked to vote in their place.
That makes sense.
And by the way, just a little trivia question. I know the planning board gets this right every time I read their minutes, but what it should say at the top of the minutes is, due to the absence of Ms. Gagne, Ms. Galen was made a voting member for the night.
Exactly.
Like that appears at the beginning of the minutes. And
Sure,
same
Tricia
thing,
knows that.
if somebody recuses themselves, right,
Yeah, they can be,
They can step
however.
then they step in. Yeah.
Well, Conservation Commission doesn't have, on planning board, they actually, the state, like the New Hampshire Municipal Association suggests that you not fill a recusal for better reasons and what have you, simply so that nobody can
Yeah,
claim
yeah.
that you were packing the board.
Right. That was a tangent right there, is what we call that, but
That was a-
All right, so do I have a motion?
I would move to appoint this lovely young lady to the Conservation Commission.
As an alternate
As
member,
an alternate member.
To
with
expire.
a three-year term.
I will second.
Is it a 3-year?
to
Is it a 3-year, Jim? You got the appointment.
2020, it's a 2-year term.
The appointment's over there beside Lisa.
Yeah, it's a 2-year term.
2-year term.
Two-year term.
Yeah, I saw 2020. Let me find it. Want to make sure we get this right. Yes, so so expiration date of term of office is first day of April 2020. And I got a second, yes?
Oh, sorry, second, yes.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Alicia,
Thank you very much.
the forms will go over to the town clerk, and then she'll be able to swear you in after she
Tomorrow,
gets
if
it.
you're around, you can stop on Thursday. Yep. All right.
Thank you.
Bye. All right, so our next item is the Comcast franchise fee. This is a quickie. This is we received the fees, we want to sign a letter
Madam
asking.
Chairman, I would move that we sign this letter to the bookkeeper, dear Ms. Hughes, on March 12, 2013, warrant Article 7 passed to establish a revolving fund for the purpose of providing cable access for public educational or government use. The Board of Selectmen received a cable franchise fee check dated August 1st, 2018, in the amounts of $23,597.94 for the months of April, May, and June 2018, which is 5% of the total revenue received of the $471,957.97. Of this amount, $2,359.79, or 0.5%, goes to the cable revolving fund, and $21,238.15, 4.5% of that franchise fees, stays with the town of Newton going into the general fund. Please prepare a check for the cable revolving account respectfully, and I would move that we sign it as the Board of Selectmen.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, next item. We have a 2018 matrix pay calculations. So this is, our pay matrix has not been updated, and I want to say decades, but that's probably,
I can take you
Overstating
through
it.
what I've done. If this will open for me. I'm sure that everybody here has read this and memorized it, but
no, but I have looked at it.
the impetus of this was from the fire chief, and in talking to him,
Police chief?
the police chief, both commented to me, more so the fire department, with things not having a way of applying the rules uniformly. In talking to the police chief, he wanted something where he'd be able to look at people and say, yes, you do this, you get exactly this for a possible pay increase. So on the first page of the book, you'll see the matrix, which has been reworked out into a 15-year schedule. The first 10, the steps are at 2.5%. The upper 5, the steps are at 2%. What I have done is I have gone through the list of all the town employees and found the lines that the majority of people fit on at their present pay. All of the election people actually fit on line 4. All of the solid waste disposal area, the part-time people, not the manager or the assistant manager, fit on line 5. So I went through, found everything, and assigned individual lines of the matrix and to specific jobs. At the moment, if you look at our matrix and you look at, say, firefighters, you might have firefighters on level 10, you might have firefighters on level 12. And what happens is, if we want to reward somebody for improving their educational experience, they might go from grade 10 to grade 12, and they got a 1.5%, but they never get put back on grade 10. They then continue along an alternate route. Now, if you look at the bottom, I've defined the classifications, and if you look and you click on where it says fire, they're presently being used as a hourly rate calculation sheet. What I did was I took that and changed it so that I've now categorized the different possibilities for pay increases. When you complete firefighter 1, you get a bump. When you complete firefighter 2, you get a bump. In the past, some people got both bumps, some people got only one bump at completing firefighter 2. Same thing happens when you get down to the officers. There are 5 levels of officers from officer 1 through deputy chief. At present, you have some people that are, say, lieutenants, that are getting both lieutenant, officer 1, and officer 2, when that was not the intent. The intent is when you go up rank, you get a different stipend. But we have people that are receiving almost everything on that list, which is in addition to their hourly rate. So in talking, and I did this in close work with the fire chief, and when he gets back from his vacation, we're gonna go one last time through it, so that people will know exactly what they can expect and what's going to disappear, because we presently have people that are looking at getting ranked that think they're getting very large steps, and they're not. On every one of these, I did a separate sheet for the full-time police, part-time police, and the solid waste people, because those are the people that actually have off-matrix things that they can do to get pay increases. If you look at the fire department full-time, you'll see that they can pick up increases for reaching patrolman first class or receiving one of the few ranks. This will actually list out the differentials, so that if you're actually employed as working for the 3 to 11 schedule, that is your differential that you can expect to see. That's not for somebody that's filling in once in a while here and there. But if you're normally scheduled to work the 3 to 11 shift, you will get that differential. If you work the 11 to 7 shift, you will get the night differential number 2. And if you get related certificates up to 4, you will pick up, for each certificate, you will pick up the quarter. If you get your associate's degree in criminal justice, you will pick up $1.25. And if you get your bachelor, it's $1.75. And if you heard me earlier this evening when we saw the cheat, we're going to sit down and massage these numbers slightly. The same thing goes for the part-time police officers. And you'll notice at the top, everybody has a probationary. That is actually below the first step of the line that they've been assigned to, so that when they are appointed, assuming they have no other skills already in existence, they will start on line 1 of the matrix. And you have to scroll over a little bit to get to the solid waste. And I just received information today that I have to redo those 5 levels, that there are only 4 levels, and the first level, we require anybody getting that job to pass. So the level 1 will disappear. It'll be level 2, 3, and 4 with those ways of, they're basically educational incentives, whether it's getting higher certification for solid waste, facility operating certificates, or it's additional coursework in either the police or the fire department. Rather than it being arbitrary and awarded willy-nilly, people can see exactly where they would go. Now, what I want to do, if you're happy with the way everything is now, what I will have to do is go back and reverse calculate all of the people that fit into these 4 categories, reverse calculate their salaries so that we know exactly where they are, and we won't be reducing anybody's pay. However, in the next round of evaluations and pay increases, they may, and in the directions I suggested, the board only wants to see a max of a step increase every year, from one step to the next. We will be assigning, some people that are a little bit over the present steps that are on their line may not get a full step increase in the next round. That's something that happens when you bring in a new matrix. Comments?
So first of all, I appreciate you calculating all this stuff. I'm sure it was not an easy task. My one statement would be I think I'm in favor of where you're going so far, to go out and massage the data a little bit more. The only question I would ask, so having lined out grade 1, 2, and 3,
Right.
those salaries, in other words, what we're saying is if I look at column C, that is the lowest salary anyone could start at now. So
That is the first salary after probationary.
okay,
Lines grades 1, 2, and 3, if you look at the numbers, shy of hitting step 10, it is doubtful that we would employ anybody on those grades.
yeah, that's probably true. The only thing I would add is, and this is very unscientific, but
Yeah.
I was reading an article in the newspaper, might have been a couple months ago now, but they were talking about how all of us are very aware of all the construction that's going on 125, right on the Haverhill-Plastow line. And they were talking about how the retail places that are in New Hampshire, right, so right over the line, are having the hardest time staffing. And they're competing against the ones that are over the line in Haverhill because of minimum wage and stuff like that in Massachusetts as opposed to New Hampshire.
Right.
So what that made me think of is, are we competitive? And when I say are we competitive, are we competitive for a job such as solid waste disposal? Are we, do we need to?
There are, that could be moved to any one of the two next lines going.
Yeah.
However, we would have to acknowledge, solid waste, we presently have one employee on step one of the line I assign solid waste to.
Yeah,
So if you eliminate that line and move solid waste up a grade, you have to acknowledge that the day you institute this, that's an automatic pay raise for somebody.
yeah, true.
I mean, I'm not opposed to it because, I mean, some of these numbers are really sad.
Yeah,
And you will also notice if you look at things, I have actually moved the police part-time officers, starting them a bit higher than we presently do. I believe I moved them up to, simply because reality says that you're not going to get a part-time officer for $13.
and,
You can get that walking around the mall with a
Right.
radio and no gun.
and that's a great example of what I'm talking about, is that we just have to look at competitiveness, because as we see on this board, as we're the ones who have to fill out these positions, we all of a sudden find ourselves running into problems, whether it be trying to get people to work at the transfer station, believe it or not, is difficult, I think, because they're looking at retail places that they can make a little more money. The thing that we always end up finding from candidates is they live in town and they live nearby, so that's almost worth it, so they don't have to drive somewhere.
I realize that, but-
And the PD one is a better example
The
of that.
PD and the fire department,
Yeah,
we are relying more and more on out-of-town
Yeah.
people
yeah,
to fill our needs.
yeah,
And, I mean, we can argue whether or not, assistant managers or assistants belong on line 10 or line 11. But that's a good place to start if you're an assistant in a small town like Newton. $11.70 is a decent starting, because it's going to be a younger person and it's going to be basically a part-time position. The people that we have presently in those positions are towards the higher end of the scales. So I believe all of our assistants that would fall into that by the definition, are all making the 1323 or higher. That's why I still haven't done the reverse calculations. But, all these people now, if the library comes in and says, well, there are 4 possible ways that you can pick up additional they would like to see, I'd be willing to make additional pay calculation sheets, so that people can look at it and say, yes, the better I learn my job and the more courses that I take to help me do my job better, the bumps I'll get are small, but they eventually do add up.
so I'm good with this as it is so far.
The only other thing that I have is, one of the things I wanted to see happen, I love the breakouts showing that the merit or the educational, et cetera, is shown as separate from the actual pay metrics, because it has nothing to do with their steps. Perfect, we needed that breakout. But the problem, it's not a problem, but what I'd really like to see here is not a 2.5%
Well, if you
change
want,
between steps.
I can take the matrix, I believe I know how to do it on Excel, is to make so that there will be just go to the first one. Until I'm used to working on my tablet.
Because right now they are all 2.5% jumps.
What I'm proposing here would be, and in parentheses, the Roman numerals, those are the new numbers. I can create a sub-line under here that would be 1B, 2B, 3B, and that would be at a half step increase. I just don't want people to suddenly bounce around so that you have,
Well, see, I think we can reclassify people with their grade and steps as long as the salary doesn't change.
right,
Because that's just how we're tracking them, is grade and step. So us changing,
I didn't bring the paperwork up here. At the moment, we have a 4-page list so that I believe Library Assistant 1 was on Schedule 8. Library Assistant 2 was on Schedule 9. Library Assistant 3 was on Schedule 11. It makes,
well, no, these matrices don't even need to be position-specific. It's salary level. Grade 1, step whatever, grade 10, step whatever. I don't want grade 10 to be just for library, for example. Grade 10 could be anyone that, so if the cable operator slipped out of the next grade over into the next one, it's still cable operator. They just happen to now have a pay rate that falls under the next grade and step. So I don't want the grades and steps associated with the specific department.
okay.
It's great to know that currently these are the employees that we have in departments, and this is where they fall within the grade, the
Okay.
pay rate. But I'd like a nice, clean, grade 10, step 4 equals $10, for example, which it doesn't, but I'm just saying it for an example. So whether it is a transfer station employee who's hired at that step, or a library part-time assistant who's hired at that step, they're both getting paid $10 an hour, they're both at the same grade step. That's what that grade step means, that particular dollar amount. Now, might be alone on this, but it's how I feel it should be represented.
I could kind of see that case being made.
Because I think if you get to the end of that chart, somebody who's been here for a number of years, and they go off that chart, where do they go after that? Like you're saying, it could be a cable operator, but now they're into a higher category because they've been here and they've received increases.
Exactly.
Put it this way, right now, we have nobody that would go off the chart. However, I foresee in the not-too-distant future, and this is, I think of things concrete and sequentially, is that at some point, step 1 is going to go away, and step 15 is going to be step 14, and there'll be a new step 15. Because these starting salaries, I tried to find ones that were compatible to what the chiefs told me, or where people presently are. With the exception of, I believe, 2 people, nobody's on step 1 at the moment. Otherwise, I'd have come in and suggested that we get rid of step 1, period. There's always the ability to add on to the end of the pay matrix. Because in the school district, we have a 10-step pay matrix, and 50% of our people are off matrix. They are assigned an annual increase.
Well, they get off matrix because you don't let them go down to the next grade. Because that's not for that department or that position. So they're not
I know.
allowed to go down.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Take the person, see grade 4, presently the last step is $12.33 an hour. That person can also be moved down to grade 9, step 5, with a 3-cent differential.
Yeah, but what if after grade 4, step 15 or whatever, at
Right.
1233, then grade 5, step C, is the incremental from the previous grade step.
It's-
Makes a lot less paper, a lot less trying to finagle which,
Because it doesn't drop down like that. It goes from 4.
well, I know it doesn't right now.
That's why we had trouble with the other matrix, because people are up at the top end of the scale. You end up jumping 2 steps.
Exactly, you
Two
start trying to
grades.
figure out what grade and step, okay, they come off of here, now they should be able to flow right into the next grade,
In that
step
case,
1.
I will lengthen it out to a 20-year matrix.
No. I'm,
One of the problems that I've listened to the Board of Selectmen complain about is people getting multiple step increases in a year,
yep,
or people being bumped because they, and quite honestly, one of the things with the pay, like the fire calculation sheet, the matrix goes up there. That doesn't really reflect, we're not finding that bottom number again on the matrix. As soon as that number is plugged in, police officers, fire, transfer station employees will all be off matrix. We're not gonna suddenly go, oh, okay, well, when you add this and this and this, that brings them to $18.34. Well, the closest number we have here is $18.48. So we'll have, in order to keep them on the matrix, what I'm saying is, people can go off the matrix.
well, but this is what I'm saying, if you bear with me. We have grade 11, step 1,
Yeah.
1228.
Right.
We have grade 10, step 3,
Right.
1229. We have grade 9, step 5,
What we're,
1230.
right, we're saying that we believe that,
Then grade 8, step 7, same exact amount, 1230. So we've got 2 different grades and 2 different steps that are the same exact,
and two
that's,
different job requirements.
and that's why I was saying, I'd like us to remove the department/job requirement for the matrix and have it be based on salary. Just, it's a pay matrix salary, grade step.
Well, it's not salary.
Yeah, or they're not, well, you know what I mean,
It's
hourly
yeah.
wage.
Right. So in that case, everybody that comes to work for the town, no matter what you do, is going to start on grade 1, step 1.
Not necessarily.
So you're going to start doing arbitrary, this Board of Selectmen I don't have a problem with, but I don't know who in the future could look at this and go, oh, well,
See, yeah, I don't like the, it's kind of like rate shopping in a way.
exactly.
So what would happen is the department head would have to turn around and say, well, geez, you know, I really want to bring this employee in, I want them to get the offer, so what would be a good salary, bang, bang, bang. You know what I mean? It's not as much of a definition as this would be
Yeah.
in a standard that we could kind of hold to when we have people coming, especially, we really have a hodgepodge of skill sets in our town, any town does, you know, so.
All right, so if we were to keep this at a position level, which
Right,
is how it is right now, different positions have a different grade. So
Yeah.
grade means position, correct?
Right at the moment, grade means a number of positions.
So, well, grade, Like I
I
said-
refined the definitions, if you look at the bottom, you'll see a sheet that says definitions, and it lists everybody that fits into that.
correct, but essentially it's a
Right.
department type grade.
Right.
So secretary part-time is a position. And it could be selectman secretary, building department secretary, library secretary, it doesn't matter, it's a secretary,
It's a
part-time
secretary.
secretary.
Yeah.
Okay? So yes, if we're going to do that, then I would love to see it extend out to
To 20 years.
step 20, yes.
Yeah, me
Because
too.
it's not necessarily 20 years, but it would be 20 steps.
Steps, yeah.
And again, I would still like to see a 1% increase between steps, because there are times where you have somebody who has gone above and beyond and really, really shined, and you want to reflect that by giving them a little more, but a 5% jump, you know, just is a
Well, like I
big
said,
jump.
if you'd like, I will make a sub-list that is a 50% step. I'm sorry, a 1.25% step on those places that it's 1.25.
So like grade 1A kind of thing?
Yeah, it'll be a sub, and people can move up and down. But I'd like to at least try to get us starting to think lineally, that if you're in the secretary line, you know, yes, if you're part-time, you could end up moving to full-time. But that's different from, okay, this is my line, but gee, if my boss determines they want to move me.
No, I like linear. In fact, the 1A could actually be where they then drop down and go continue.
Yeah.
And if we find out we're getting beyond that, it'll be very easy to add a 1B.
I will split the matrix and create a subline for each at 50%. I'll extend the matrix out to 20 years. And what I will do is, since this at step 10, at step 11, it drops down to a 2% per year. At step 16, I'll drop it down to a 1.5.
I'd like to see it that way, see what it looks like.
Okay.
The only other thing I'd throw in here, and I just say it out loud to say it out loud because I'm not saying I'm in favor of this, was the other thing you could do is a low, mid, max. So for each grade and step, you can stay in that step, but there's a low point and a max point and a midpoint. So it would give the department head the ability to kind of work in that parameter.
A lot of that.
Again, I'm not saying I am in
Oh,
favor.
Remember, I'm not expecting people to come in, say we hire a new part-time secretary for the Board of Water and Roads. Doesn't exist.
Right.
And we have 3 lovely candidates to come in, all of whom have already worked someplace else for the Department of Water and Roads.
Yeah.
And we look at them and go, okay, they're on grade 6. We know we're not going to be paying them $9.62 per hour with their advanced knowledge.
Yeah.
We're going to have to be looking, okay, so you go along there and you go, okay, maybe they're going to start at $11.16. And we find one of them is happy and they run with it. We at least have a starting place. I mean, I'm not saying, there are some positions where people have come to us with absolutely no knowledge, no ability, and yeah, they start on, after probationary, they move to step 1. But there's nothing preventing either human resources or a department head from coming in and saying, yeah, this person has unique and special talents and shouldn't start on step 1, should start on step 5, 6. I mean, that's
Yeah.
not for me to decide. What I'm just trying to do is to give a certain amount of continuity to the employees.
I'd buy it, yep.
Now, I'll get this all worked out before I sit down and start reverse calculating things. I will tell you, I am not comfortable trying to take a line of the matrix and putting 2 sublines underneath it, because then the first subline can be a half-step increase across the board. It's still going to be a step increase across the line. In order to do half steps, you're gonna have to zigzag.
No, I'm saying grade 1 would be 1% from step 1 through step 20. Grade 1A would then pick up 1% from the step 20 and become grade 1A, step 1. 1%.
Oh, okay, I thought you were
So,
asking.
No,
that-
continuity, remember? That's what you
Well,
want?
No, I'm taking it out to 20 years, so
Yes.
we don't have a problem with the
And then
continuity
for,
there.
say, year 21, if you will, because it's not really a year, it's a step, but we'll say year.
Quite honestly, if you get to grade 20 and we're still starting people at step 1, we have nobody that is that far out.
But the point is, we may not necessarily start people at step 1. We may
Right.
start them at step 5 or step 10.
This was what I was interpreting, was that there would be grade 1A. If you look at the first line, the grade at 1A, step 1 would be $7.66. That would be the halfway point between grade 1, step 1, and grade 1, step 2.
Where I was looking at, it would go from step 15, 1065 to
Well,
10%, which
I
would be
wouldn't start a whole
1091.
nother line,
But
I
you
would
know
just extend I mean, I can make the
Oh,
matrix can have 100 steps to it.
yeah, but we don't want that either. We don't want to be saying
I realize that.
grade 1, step 100.
So I'm gonna say uncle,
Yeah.
because we've been looking at this for a while now. I think we have a good first step here.
Yep.
And Jim's gonna go off and give us more, and we'll have 5 board members probably the next time we look at it, so
Yep.
Oh,
I think this is a good first step.
I'll extend it to 20 years, and because you had said that you didn't like the 2.5% sort of a guarantee, that's the only option.
Exactly.
That's why I thought that you
2.5,
were.
5, et cetera, that I
Well,
don't want.
That's why if I do a sub-grow down, people can zigzag up and down on step, but staying on grade 1. They'll have grade 1, step 1A, grade 1, step 2A, grade 1, step 3A.
Let's see how that looks.
Okay. In that case, Madam Chair, that's all I need to report on that.
All right, so.
By the way, you are looking at probably 70 to 80 hours worth of work, so.
Oh, I know, it's not an
Looks
easy
like
thing
it.
to try to fit everything in.
Yeah.
Would anybody
So, I
Anybody
mean,
else want to make any comments? on
Nope.
that?
Not at this point.
Please, no.
By the way, I have been running this by the 3
Amigos?
managers that it would actually impact.
Yeah,
Come on.
good.
all right, so our next item, since we're done with Matrix, is the impact fees school letter.
Unfortunately, I didn't get that quite completed.
All right, then we will skip over that
But
item.
Before you go on, I have to meet with the treasurer to get something worked out, but I can't wait 2 more weeks for another meeting. So if I get the letter ready, do you think the board could come in and sign it? And we can announce it at the next meeting?
Yes.
It's just a matter of some of the interest. It's not calculating out for me.
I would I would move that we sign the request for impact fee to be applied to the school portion of the Newton Town taxes. That letter be signed as soon as it is drafted.
Thank you.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, then our next item is tax deed, map 2-4-37.
This is the 8 Wilders Grove Road property. The people got their request in prior to the 3-year deadline. The taxes have been paid, and the deed has been prepared by Attorney Kalman's office for the board to sign so we can record it, giving the property back to the O'Boyles. And then they will do what they need to do to record their deed on their end.
Now, do we need to come in for witnessing for all of these?
I can do it because I'm a notary,
Oh, okay.
so I can do it.
Want to sign this afterwards downstairs so Nancy can then...
Notarize it.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll do it anyway, Jim. You guys can sign it. I know your signatures.
In that case, I will move that we sign the deed without covenant.
Do I have a second?
Oh, sorry, second.
All
So-
in favor?
So we have 3 signatures, we don't need to get the other 2 to sign, right?
I would like it, but
I always like it when they,
Okay.
Yeah, if we could ask the other
Okay.
2 to come in and
I
sign,
will.
I don't think we need to have it out within 24 hours kind of
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. Okay, yep,
you
so
know,
we just have to sign beside our names. You have
Yeah.
to sign all.
And-
yes.
and by the way, the same goes for me for the other things we're signing tonight. If they can come in and sign, that would be appreciated. Especially, you know, we have an appointment of somebody qualified for the commission. It'd be nice if all,
I agree.
yeah, and we have a thank you letter. It'd
and a
be nice
thank
if
you
we
letter,
had 5.
exactly.
Yep.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, so next is the NHMA Policy Conference.
I would move that we send our lovely chairman to the, chairman for this evening.
But I was gonna say Bob is not lovely.
Ms.
I like
Gallagher
Bob and
as
everything,
our
but he's
official voting delegate.
Vice chairman.
yeah.
I will second for discussion. Not only do I have no problem and in fact volunteer.
And I will actually authorize her to sign the voter delegate authorization card for herself.
Yeah, we have to mail that back.
All right, and the other thing that I want to discuss is these policy changes. The board has the opportunity to tell me, as the representative at the conference, which way we want to go. So if I could get feedback from the individual boards, and if I don't, then I will make a unilateral decision when I am there as the voting member.
Agreed.
All right. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I'm the only one who needs to sign that. All right, there's a Boston Post cane holder.
I would proudly announce that the Boston Post cane is presently been awarded to and is being held by Ruth Block Swayze.
Nice.
Congratulations.
So we're gonna have some sort of photo in the paper type
We
thing?
did.
Photo was in the paper 2
Wait,
weeks
I have
ago.
it down.
Which reminds me, I have it digitally.
Oh, good.
Regretfully, he put a copy of, an actual print of it,
Okay.
and it rained. And the photo stuck to the inside of the envelope.
Which paper was it in?
It was in the Carriagetown News 2 weeks ago.
Just the Carriagetown News?
Well, that's who came when he
Yeah,
presented it.
that's who we got the photograph from.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can use the photograph on the website if we would like. We just have to give Larry Kennedy photo credit.
Yep. So what did you say, you got a new picture?
I have it digitally.
Oh, okay. Okay, so
I don't
if you
have a,
can send it to Diane,
yeah, well, I figured I'd wait until tonight
yep,
to
okay,
spring that on people.
we can
It
put
was
that
a lot of
out.
fun. I've known Grammy Swayze for a long time. She's lived in town for, I believe she's turning 97 this year, and she's lived in town for like 95 years. Well, there
So
were 2
that-
years that, after she got married, she lived in Groveland, well, before they bought their house on West Main Street.
So excellent choice, it sounds like.
Yeah, definitely deserving.
Yep.
Okay, and item B, announcement, a resignation.
It's not coming up on the,
It is, we have received a letter of
there it is.
resignation from Tim Carey. He is resigning from the Newton Fire Department because he has moved to Exeter. And I would like to send our appreciation of the board for his service.
So can you accept his resignation?
And accept his, do we need to, yes, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept with regret the resignation of Tim Carey. And I want to send him a letter that says, well, he can no longer meet the training requirements, but in the letter, or if we send him something, remind him that if he ever finds himself capable, we would be willing to take him back.
I will second.
All right,
Want a letter drafted? You've never done it before.
Usually,
In that case,
yeah.
we don't need to send a letter.
no,
you've
but
never sent a letter.
he can hear us verbally if he views this.
It'll be in the minutes.
Yes.
But we just
All right,
won't
all
send
in
it.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so the only thing I have left on this agenda is, do you have the signing of the letter that
Yeah.
we did?
Yeah, for the scouts.
Yeah, you get that one. Okay, so I will just go under other business.
I've got
You can start yours first.
a couple of things quick, both,
You doing the thank you letter to the Boy Scouts?
yeah, I've
It's in
got
here.
it.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Couple of quick things having to do with the transfer station. Number one is, the transfer station acting manager I talked to him today. He had sent us in his monthly or bi-monthly log, he had sent us a couple of different options for repair of the inlet toilet,
Insulate.
insulate toilet there. And what happened was,
Yeah, I can't send it.
what happened was, we ended up, he was asking us for direction, and he never got the official word from us for direction. So he wanted us to discuss tonight and send him an email, so he's got it in black and white which way he should go. And I can't recall, Diane, do you recall like what the couple of options were? Because the one I was in favor of was the one Pete recommended, which I think was find another manufacturer and buy just the toilet. So it would all remain intact except for that piece, and he'd just buy it from somebody else who services it. So we would invest,
It would
A
be nice
smaller
if we
amount.
found somebody that could service it locally.
right, right.
Right.
And I believe he said he found somebody who's like, somewhere in the United States, but they have a local office. Does that sound familiar? Does anybody have that email?
I'm
handy?
trying to see if I can find it.
That's not, you can't do that.
Why not?
What happened? Yeah, that won't work.
If you guys say it's official, I'll sign it.
I would think it is, because you haven't sent, so it's only going to be one signature here.
So let's do this. We'll sign it to make it official tonight, but we should have a corrected copy that we can come in later and sign, right?
I agree.
So this will give him enough to move forward.
Computer, she may be able to fix it.
Yeah, true. Yep.
So I have it. He talks about the Sunmar, also found at Home Depot. Oh wait, there's several. Matt, do you want to just look at this? It might be
There were
easy.
several, but at the end, he said, I
Yeah, you can
suggest.
pick it out probably
Yeah.
better than I can.
So he would probably go with another Incinolette model TR. It takes about 1 to 2 weeks for delivery. So,
I'm in agreement with that. Anything that gets rid of the porta potties.
So we keep the building and we just
Yeah.
put the new
Yeah.
one in.
Just put the new toilet in the same building.
so essentially, we need a message to go out that Pete has the support of the board to go with his
Recommendation.
recommendation.
Okay.
Is really what he wants to do.
I will move that.
And what is the amount roughly?
It looks like it's, they have only other company that files is Echoline, the model that closely resembles. So basically, it's going to be lower than the 1964, which is for the Insulette toilet. So
So is it roughly like 1,700 or?
I don't know. So basically, we're telling him to go off, get it all teed up,
Okay.
and then we're going to approve whatever the invoice will be.
And that's going to come from the transfer station budget?
Yeah, it should.
Yes.
Okay, okay, got it.
So you're going with the Insulet Model TR?
No, at the end there, he says, my recommendation would be to go with another model.
Another Insulet Model TR.
Yeah.
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 So
So,
when we
Just,
get the purchase order or whatever that shows us what the actual model and cost is, then we'll go ahead and
exactly.
make the motion to
Okay.
pay it. But
The
this just
message-
lets them know to go ahead with it.
Yep.
Message to Pete is, your idea has the support of the board.
Okay.
Go do it. And then we'll approve as we normally do. The only other thing I have transfer station related, and correct me if I'm wrong if we're not going to do this, is I believe, I talked to the guys over there today about Steve St. Cyr, who's doing he's got a trial period for his business. I believe the trial period is up in September, is that correct?
And I have it on the September 4th agenda.
Okay, so it is on that agenda. I just wanted to make sure it was on an agenda. I won't be here, as I said earlier. Talking to the two of the folks, one the acting manager over the transfer station today, he only recently started, but they say it's worked out very well, having him come in sort of a less...
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Tuesdays and Thursdays, he's got 18 customers, he said, and he's very accommodating. So far, so good. So if I was here on September 4th, which I won't be, my suggestion would be to extend that date out, since he just kind of started a month ago, you know? So, but that's
All right.
all I have.
So if you want to,
Yep.
I
Any
have one.
recommendation
oh,
on
yes,
the
we have
link?
one more
End of the year is what
other
I would
business
say.
from Jim.
I received an email from my contact at CBI. In the beginning of October, they have a large open house where they demonstrate some of their large machinery. And they will end up with a vast amount, that's their word, large amount of excess wood chips of premium quality that they would like to know if the town has any use for.
So,
So if the rec would like to have enough wood chips to wood chip in the town beach at the picnic area, or the Conservation Commission has a need for wood chips on one of their projects, or the Marshall House, or the town buildings has a need for wood chips, let me know as soon as possible. It's been a couple of weeks since he spoke to me, but I wanted to bring it up at a selectmen's meeting.
can we put this out as an email to all the department heads?
I will forward what I got.
Excellent.
Because I think that's a good idea.
You just have to be careful around the buildings because they're a fire hazard.
Thank you. Yeah, they are.
And at the beach, they could be very rough on the feet.
Who was I talking to about this?
Depending on where they're
The,
used.
Oh, I read it in the paper that Plastow Fire Department had a couple of fires because the dyes, it wouldn't be CBI, but some of the mulch, the dye they use in the mulch actually under the heat, but
Yeah.
CBI won't be dyed, I don't think, so.
I doubt it. They,
Yeah.
if you've ever seen it, they have these massive machines that can take
A whole
6
tree.
foot,
Yeah.
5-foot diameter tree,
Yep,
and it goes in and it just,
they had them for the tornadoes and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so with that done,
And,
no other announcements? Matt?
I can start with the vendor.
Sure.
Okay, I'll move that we sign the vendor manifest dated 8/7/2018 in the amount of $51,542.88.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move that we sign the vendor manifest dated 8/13/2018 in the amount of $1,877.24.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And I will move that we sign vendor manifest dated 8/21/2018 in the amount of $1,224,896.19, of which $1,155,000 goes towards the September Sanborn Regional School payment.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I would like to move that we sign the Fire and Rescue Station vendor manifest dated 8/21/2018 in the amount of $37,488.26.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I move to sign payroll manifest in the amount of $38,514.14 for pay period July 22, 2018 through August 4, 2018, with the pay date of 8/9/2018.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I move to sign payroll manifest in the amount of $53,812.07 for pay period August 5th, 2018 through August 18, 2018, with the pay date of 8/23/2018.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. So I would move to sign Veterans Tax Credit for MAP 12-5-6-1 for tax year 2019.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
I would move to sign Veterans Tax Credit for MAP 4-6-3-14 for tax year 2019.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
I would move to sign a thank you letter to Boy Scout Troop 91 and parents for clearing the brush and weeds at the Marshall Museum site.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. And then my last one, we already did for Alicia Gillian for conservation.
Yep, so we don't have to do that again. Right, I have nothing else on the agenda.
Move to adjourn.
A second.
All in favor? Aye. And that is at 8:45 PM.